even though people will come and think, I know Marilyn and I know that painting, when you see the actual painting and you see the variations, people may even rethink what they thought they knew.
Andy Warhol, From A to B and Back Again, is New York's first Warhol retrospective in nearly 3 decades. Donna DeSalvo curated the exhibition for the Whitney Museum of American Art.
It's actually taken from the title of Warhol's own book, again, that was published in 1975. But it's also part of his work itself, which has this kind of recursive practice where he would recycle imagery as he goes through his career. And so he's always doing this kind of, it's not A to B and then ending. It's A to B, and then it goes back again, and then it goes back again. So I think it speaks to something about, the way his process works.
Yeah. This exhibition has sort of been described as a sort of a re-examination of Warhol's work. Why does the work need to be re-examined, do you think?
Well, it's been more than 30 years since the last big exhibition. And I just think that it's important to rethink Warhol. And this exhibition also puts forward a thesis about Warhol, about the foundational work of the 50s. Warhol fixed certain images, and he understood the icon. I think that as you go through this exhibition, you also see how Warhol starts to, what I'll say is, destabilize the image.
More than 350 works of art from all different stages of Warhol's life and career take up 3 floors at the Whitney.
This is really the earliest work that's in the collection, right?
Yes, this is a work from around 1948 that Warhol actually did as a class assignment. And what Warhol did was to do this watercolor and gouache of his family's living room. So you see a very particular household, the crucifix on the mantle, he's from a Catholic family, and very lived-in furniture. Even then, he could give an inanimate object a sense of personality.
It's very fascinating. I think a lot of people don't really know all that much about that period of his life and that period of his work.
Yes, exactly, which is why I've included it.
DeSalvo hopes the exhibition will help separate the man from the myth, exploring Warhol as a gay man raised by Czech immigrant parents in a devout Catholic home.
In some ways, I think it's interesting to think of Warhol not fitting in. And there are paintings in this show, like this before and after painting about a nose job, that are also about this need to conform, the need to sort of buy into the American dream.
The show features lesser-known works from Warhol's early days in New York City, drawings, and illustrations of shoes for advertising campaigns, through his Disaster series, and more well-known pieces from the man credited with creating the pop art movement.
So this is probably the most iconic image, even though it's 32 separate images, but it's probably the most iconic image, the Campbell soup can.
It is probably what people think of when they think of Andy Warhol. And I think what's so amazing is to look at, they all look the same, but of course they're all distinctive because each one represents a different flavor. And if you think of the idea of theme and variation in art, you've got it right here. I think what's so great here is that it's a great pastoral landscape for the 20th century. Cows and flowers, but it's also an immersive landscape. And you have pictures here that go from the small to the medium to the large to the extra large, and I hope people spend time in it.
The thing that struck me when I walked in, the scale of everything. You walk around that corner and the portrait of Chairman Mao is gigantic. Like, I don't know, I'm probably exaggerating, but it seems like it's 20 feet tall.
No, it's just about fit in the gallery here. Yeah. I think that Warhol understood scale, so he could work with the tiny little flower paintings, but also the scale of the Mao is like the scale of the portrait in Tiananmen Square. It also just stops you in your tracks. Yeah. And plus Mao looks like he's wearing rouge and eyeshadow. So, it just sort of destabilizes your perception.
Many people's perception of Warhol comes from his celebrity silkscreen paintings. The Whitney has a whole room of them, from floor to ceiling.
I think people will see the work that he's famous for, the Campbell soup cans and paintings of dollar bills and Marilyn and Elvis and Marlon Brando, the kind of anti-heroes. But I hope that people will also see the aspects of Warhol they don't know and maybe be open to really diving deeply into his art. Because what people know is the sort of man with the funny wig. He was the mirror. And I think that he does reflect back both joy and terror and fun and innovation and creativity. So I hope that people will see, be open to a new way of thinking of Warhol or a new way into Warhol.